You are watching the Target 8.3 retest video. In this video, we're going to solve inequalities and graph the solutions on a number line. So make sure you have your white packet. We're going to do problems number 1, number 2, and number 3, and the rest are for you to do. Once you're done, you can take that packet to your teacher or to lunch intervention and retest. So here we go. Remember, any questions that you have above and beyond the movie, feel free and ask your teacher before or after school. So in order to do these equations or inequalities, we're going to follow a few steps here. The first step is to isolate. So we're going to isolate the absolute value. And that's a must. That's the first thing. So let's do that first. We're going to take care of the one that's added or subtracted first. And then the one that's touching the absolute value is a multiply. So we're going to do that last by dividing. So let's subtract 6 from both sides. You end up with this. And then we'll divide both sides by 9. And we're given this. So that's first. Then what we have to do is we have to find the endpoints that belong on the graph. So in order to do that, we have to remember that absolute value means positive and negative distance from the center point, from the middle, wherever that ends up being. So we want to find the points on the graph. Okay, don't forget, I should say, don't remember. Don't forget that there's a positive and a negative distance here. We're also going to turn this into an equals. So step 2 looks like this. P minus 9 equals 2, and P minus 9 equals negative 2. This is the positive distance, and this is the negative distance. All right, solving that, we get P equals, adding 9 to both sides, 11. And this one, when we add 9 again, but it's to negative 2 this time, so 9 and negative 2 make 7. So we have those 2 points right here. I'm going to put open circles because it's less than, and right here. All right. So the third step is to figure out which side do we shade. So remember, this is really similar to the inequalities that we did for quadratics, where you tested points then in each of those 3 regions to figure out which ones work. So we're going to do that same thing. So we're going to test points to find the intervals that work. All right, I'll do this last part in green. So if I draw a number line here, and just pretending this is 9, this is 11, this is all the numbers that are less than 7. This is all numbers that are greater than 11, and this is all numbers that are in between. And we are going to test numbers to the left of 7. 6 is a good number. Numbers in between, 10 seems like a good number. Any number, 8, 9, or 10 will work. And numbers that are bigger than 11, 12 will work. So if I plug 6 in, we're going to use that one right there. 6 minus 9, that is negative 3, and absolute value that is 3, and that's supposed to be less than 2. That's false. If I plug 10 in, 10 minus 9, that's 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1, and that's supposed to be less than 2. That's true. If I plug 12 in, 12 minus 9 is 3. The absolute value of 3 is 3, and that's supposed to be less than 2. That's false. So the part that works is this part right here, which is in between. That's the graph that we do. And the inequality that works, 7 less than x less than 11 for our answer. Okay, so going through those steps again, we isolated the absolute value. That was in blue. And then we found the points on the graph. That was in red, using equal signs, not inequalities. And then we tested points. That's this whole piece in green and black to find the intervals that work. Okay, last step, and I don't know if I need to write this down anyways. The last step is to fill in the number line and state the answer. So that's what we did up here in red. Okay, it's going to take more practice if you don't quite get it yet, so let's do another one. We'll do number 2. So the first step was to isolate. Isolating would be subtract 4, then divide both sides by 3. There it is, isolated. Now we're going to find the points on the graph. I'll do that in red again. So remember, we have a positive distance and we have a negative distance. Oops. You also have to make sure that you do that with equal signs. I did not. And b plus 9 equals 2. So subtracting 9 from both, I get negative 11 and negative 7. Okay, seeing that they don't fit on the graph, that leads me to believe that there's something fishy going on here. Let's try plugging in some points and seeing if anything works. So here's negative 11, here's negative 7. So all of the numbers that are less than negative 11 look like this. All of the numbers that are greater than negative 7 look like this. And the numbers in between, remember from quadratics, that looks the same every single time. So let's test negative 12. Let's test negative 10. Let's test negative 6. So if I plug negative 12 in there, I get negative 12 plus, and remember we're plugging into there after the isolated happens. Negative 12 plus 9 is less than or equal to negative 2. Negative 12 plus 9 is negative 3. The absolute value of that is 3. 3 is never less than or equal to negative 2, so that's false. If I plug negative 10 in where b is, negative 10 plus 9, that ends up being negative 1. The absolute value of that is 1, and that is never less than or equal to negative 2. So that's false. And then negative 6, that's 3. The absolute value of 3 is 3, and that's never less than or equal to negative 2. So none of them work. Therefore, there is no solution. So if we think about this now, why this happens, absolute value is always going to be a positive number. So the problem states that it's going to be less than or equal to negative 2. This cannot happen. So sometimes you will be able to see right from the start that there is no solution. Nothing on the graph, no solution. All right, now let's do another problem that might give you an answer here. So isolate, add 7 to both sides. Divide both sides by 4. And now we have it isolated. So remember, there's a positive distance. And there's a negative distance. So solving both of those, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I get 4 for that one. And negative 18 for that one. So these right here, open circles, close circles with an equal to attached. These right here are right here and right here. So now we need to test some points. So I will use a number line. Somewhere over here is negative 18, somewhere over here is 4, and these numbers are all less than negative 18. These numbers are all greater than 4, and here we have negative 18 is less than x is less than 4. So same exact thing every time, just different numbers. And now you get to choose which ones you want to use, like negative 20. 0 seems like an easy number in between, and let's do 5 up here. So if I plug negative 20 into this equation, inequality, negative 20 plus 7, that's negative 13. That's 13 when you do the absolute value, and it says greater than 11. 13 is bigger than 11, so that's true. Using 0, 0 plus 7 is 7. The absolute value of 7 is 7. and this is not greater than 11, so that is false. 5 plus 7 is 12. So the value of 12 is 12. This one is bigger than 11, so that is true. So I go back up to my graph here. It's this area here, and it's this area here that works. And the part that goes with that is x is less than negative 18, or x is greater than 4. My solution. So it's this one and this one. Those were the true ones. Now, if you need any more help or you want someone to go through a few more problems with you, see your teacher before or after school. This concludes our video. Make sure you have it done before you retest.